And they're understanding that if you say something enough times, it becomes true.
Yeah.
And we have seen that writ large.
Psychology.
It's under investigation, and we don't know what went on.
Children book.
Yeah.
Children book.
So you don't believe nothing in the Bible?
Yes.
Yo, what it do? Welcome back to another episode of BUA. I'm your host, Harold Damu. Here we talk business, politics, war, love, and everything in between. First up, tonight, we're talking about Ashley Robinson, also known as Ashley Janae. A story at first glance looks like a tragic situation overseas, but the deeper you look into it, the more the questions start to arise.
And now let's get to the very latest from the family of a South Jersey influencer found dead in Africa over the weekend.
The family of Ashley Robinson wants answers. They say the story just doesn't add up. Police say she was found unconscious in a luxury villa in Zanzibar and later pronounced dead at a hospital. CBS Philadelphia's Ross DeMatteis is following the story from our newsroom tonight. Ross?
Yuki, still a lot of unanswered questions here. We are still waiting at this hour on the results of Ashley Robinson's autopsy. And that report should provide some answers about whether her fiance had anything to do with her death. 45-year-old Joe McCann is facing questions about the death of his fiancée, Ashley Robinson. Police say the 31-year-old influencer, who goes by Ashley Janae online, was found unconscious in her luxury villa and later pronounced dead at the hospital just days after the couple got engaged while vacationing together in Zanzibar, a small island off the east coast of Africa.
She was showing us the engagement ring and where they were and where they were staying.
Seeing the sights and
the beautiful scenery. She was happy. It doesn't make any sense.
On Tuesday, investigators in Tanzania said they're questioning McCann and holding his passport until Robinson's autopsy is complete, but officials have not accused him of any wrongdoing.
Do you believe that Joe McCann had something to do with your daughter's death?
We don't want to
have. It's under investigation, and we don't know what went on.
In a sit-down with CBS News on Monday, Robinson's parents said they've largely been kept in the dark about their daughter's death, claiming they haven't heard from her fiancé or local officials since.
The fiancé did not reach out to us at all. We found out from the hotel, and that's devastating when your daughter's halfway around the world.
Robinson's mother told news outlets hours before her daughter was rushed to the hospital, she and McCann reportedly had an argument so severe that hotel staff moved them into separate rooms. The government of Zanzibar is asking for patience while police carry out their death investigation, but Robinson's parents want answers.
Now, this is a real tragic situation, but I mean, at the end of the day, I don't really feel too sad for her. I mean, she was, bashing black men, and she was one of those dark-skinned black women that really wanted to have access to white supremacy and really wanted to have proximity to white people. And a lot of the times this happens where we forget that white people don't like us and they want to kill us, and they had us in slavery for 400 years and they have a hate towards us. So we forget this isn't the first time this has happened. I mean, it happens on both sides, and there's been a lot of rumbling on social media about black men killed their wives as well, but it doesn't matter. Like, how does that come into the conversation? This was a white man with a black woman, and she ended up dead, and her parents didn't get a call from him. So it's very, very suspicious. Even if he didn't do it, I would still blame him. You know what I mean? So even if he didn't do it, I would still blame him, because it's like she was under your protection, and it's obviously fishy, and it doesn't sound like she would hang herself on her birthday when she just got proposed to. It sounds very weird. So, and then if you go back and look at Ashley's tweets, she was saying black men are embarrassing and that she hates black men. So again, we can't really feel too bad for her, because she decided to choose, proximity to white people as if white people are harmless and they're not embarrassing. White people are the most embarrassing race on planet Earth. So for you to say black men in America who haven't done half of what white men have done as far as destruction goes, and mass destruction, building weapons, nuclear weapons. Somebody was arguing the other day. They were like, men build weapons. They build nuclear weapons. No, white men build nuclear weapons. Korean men build nuclear weapons. Asian men build nuclear weapons. Black men in America, we don't have any nuclear weapons. Like, that's the whole problem, really. Like, we need some vibranium. We need some weapons of mass destruction. We need some level of access to danger. We need to have some level of monopoly on force. you know, and that's the one thing black men don't have. And when I say black men, I'm talking about American black men. We don't have a monopoly on force. So I don't understand why, you know, people don't realize that the most destructive race on planet Earth is white people. Is very clear as day. And when they don't get what they want, these are the type of things that happen. So it's kind of crazy. She was 31 years old. She was young. Reports say that hotel staff had already separated them into different rooms. So they were arguing and going through some things, you know. So who knows what happened? He probably looked through that phone and saw some NBA players and some NFL players in the DMs, and he lost it, you know. But there's a slight chance that she could have taken her own life, but that's very, very slight chance. So the families still doesn't know what went on. He never even reached out to the family. Who doesn't reach out to the family in this situation? You know, so that's where, to me, is like very fishy. At the end of the day, it isn't about conspiracy, it's about clarity. Until we had a full truth, we really don't know. The story's still unfolding. But either way, I'm unhappy with the situation on both sides, because black women have been the number one soldier for white men, even in slavery. Like in the movie Django, like these women were sitting there watching when Django walks in there and he sees the Mandingos fighting each other and fighting to the death, because white men used to make black men fight each other to the death, right? She's sitting there like, okay, I don't really care. She didn't have no emotions towards it. She doesn't care because she's living a better life and she's benefiting from it. A lot of people benefit from white supremacy. A lot of people benefit from having proximity to whites and putting black people down. You know, even other cultures, Asian people, Indian people, Latino community, they benefit from trying to step on black people because that is why they're allowed in the country to begin with. That's why they're allowed to be a friend of white people, because they look down and are racist or discriminatory against black people. So next up, we got Candace Owens. She sits down with Nick Cannon, but forget personalities for a second. This opens up a bigger conversation. Who's really controlling what people believe?
Who is the stronger enemy? Is it the government or is it the media?
Well, they're working together. And we know that for a fact. That's not a conspiracy, because you could, while you're home, look up Operation Mockingbird. I think this is one of the things that I care the most about, is becoming educated outside of a textbook, outside of the public school system, because the government controls what you're learning. This is the purpose of the establishment of the Department of Education. Your government is deciding what you're going to learn in the textbook, and you are accepting that as a reality. And it's very far from reality. It's very far from what actually happened. You're basically reading a fairy tale. Just a fairy tale all throughout school about what happened in human history.
The winners rewrite history.
That's exactly right. And so it's important to, at the very least, dabble in what they've declassified. And so one of the things that was declassified by the CIA was Operation Mockingbird. After JFK was shot, the CIA established paid journalists on their payroll, tons of money to them, to just Mockingbird, say the same talking points the state wanted said. First and foremost, why would the government do that after JFK was allegedly shot and they didn't know who shot him?
Right.
Well, they knew who shot him, and they needed to make sure that the people believed whatever narrative was being peddled. So you look at that declassification and you see who they were paying. New York Times, the same publications that are telling everybody that if Trump gets elected, it's going to be the end of the world. And that should signal to you, after doing that research, that essentially, and this is my perspective, there's zero evidence they ever discontinued that program. In fact, it's probably only gotten bigger and more varied. And what I mean by that is they probably even have podcasters now as a part of Operation Mockingbird, probably streamers as a part of Operation Mockingbird. But it is all about their belief and their understanding that if you say something enough times, it becomes true.
Yeah.
And we have seen that writ large.
In psychology, that's the illusory truth effect. I think that's what they call it. That the more you say something, the truer it becomes.
And people will, and we have seen this, not believe their own eyes if somebody says something enough. People legitimately felt, and this gets back to what you were saying about the hatred. That you're like, I didn't understand what was happening. I understood what was happening. Every single day, the media was telling people, she hates black people. She wants to help black people. So eventually, with enough insistence, they knew that black America was going to believe it. And sure enough, black America bought it. That this must be a girl who wants to help create a society that she can't live in. I mean, it's so foolish on its face that you would think, okay, no, why would any person want to be like, hey, I really want to bring back white supremacy. I just want to make sure that I'm segregated across the street from you. Like, your common sense should come online, but it doesn't, because that is studies that have been done into how you can infiltrate somebody's psyche.
Well, Candace, you're married to a white man, so that's the biggest political decision that you make. So that's kind of why people feel that she's been used in that way. But Operation Mockingbird was tied to the Cold War era intelligence activity. The church committee exposed intelligence, abuses during this time. So the CIA has relationships with journalists, and obviously the media is controlled by the government. They're not controlling how you think, they're controlling what you think and what you have a conversation about. Even like the prior story with Ashley Robinson, it's been in the media so hard. It's like, why is this in the media so much? Because it causes division and it causes separation, which allows the government to control. You gotta separate to conquer. You gotta have people in chaos and fear, and you gotta have them arguing with each other so they feel they need the government. The government's not needed when everyone can provide for themselves, their own housing, their own clothing, banking systems, healthcare. That's why the government comes in and they're like, hey, we have this for you. We got Obamacare. We got this. We got that. We have government assistance, Section 8. The more you rely on the government and the more you feel that you need the government, the more they can impose their will on you. So people trust headlines more than they trust their own eyes. That's what Candace was saying. It's like people can see something for their own eyes and they still won't believe it. They're under hypnosis. These people are under hypnosis, especially the older generations, because they don't even know how to access social media. Like the baby boomers and the generations above them, they have no idea. And they're the ones in position with power. They're the ones with all the equity, all the businesses, all of the media access. They're the ones that's controlling money and power. So, and they don't understand what they're looking at. They're being controlled and manipulated by the media. Narratives are built. They don't just appear. All of the Pearson books, the Hoke McDougall, all of the main textbooks that they use in middle school, high school, and in grade school and public school, they're all written by slave owners. They're all written by white people that are racist. Think about that. You're being educated. Even when I was in high school, I had a history class. I looked in the book. It was a white picture of Jesus. That's when I knew it was over with. When I saw a picture in the book that I was in school about Jesus and he was white in the book, I was like, yeah, like I already knew in elementary school. Like in elementary school, I wasn't with the program. I wasn't with the program on day one, like in elementary school. But at this point, my consciousness was coming and my brain was more developed, and I realized that obviously all of this is a lie. And everything they're telling us, like Nick Cannon said, is his story. That's what history is. It's his story. Whoever won the last war, they're going to tell the story that makes more sense for them. And I'm not mad at them. I'm not mad at white people for doing this. I'm more so mad at black people for believing in it. I'm never mad at white people for doing the things they do. They've already shown their character. I'm mad at black people. You go work for these people. Like they want a job now. They want to work at the companies of the people that slaughtered their people and raped and pillaged their villages. Like, I have no problem with another culture conquering the land, but it's like, why don't you try to conquer your land back instead of being submissive? So that gets us into the next segment with Kalia Ali, speaking on Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X's relationship. This is one of the most important relationships in Black history because it shows how division happens at the highest level.
And if you do anything to make us look bad as a race of people, like disrespect anyone, whether they're black or white, they'll put you out of the temple for 1 year. They give you 1 to 5. If you go a whole year without breaking any laws, all right, then everybody gets that. Listen, so when Malcolm came out and said, chicken come home to roost after the death of John F. Kennedy, that was a bad thing to do. That was very disrespectful. That was not something that's supposed to be coming from the Nation of Islam. That's disrespect. Because a lot of Black people loved John F. Kennedy, and he gave them a lot of rights and freedoms that respectfully he gave them to what he could, and to make mockery of him, that was just wrong. So he put him out the mosque, and we're not supposed to communicate with anybody that's out the mosque that's in bad standing. That's it. It's nothing personal. It's nothing personal. So we're not allowed to communicate with him. So it wasn't Ali shining away from him. It was that we weren't supposed to respond or communicate with somebody. And that's something that we do that it's not in our control, even if it's your best friend.
So Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X were once very close. Malcolm X, he supported Ali during the early parts of his career. And remember, back in these times, these guys are young. Like Muhammad Ali got drafted at like 25. Malcolm's like in his 30s. You know, all of these black activists at this time, they were like in their 20s, which is actually very interesting. Like Fred Hampton was like 21 when he got killed. Like imagine, like they were kids basically. But the split happened after Malcolm X left the nation in 1964. Ali, he decided to stay loyal to Elijah Muhammad. And this kind of goes into the last segment in regard to media and how white people control the narratives and what people think. Obviously, the nation has been infiltrated by white people. That's why they wanted to kill Malcolm, because Malcolm started to see how the nation really wasn't helping black people. And he was like, when are we actually going to use our arms? When are we actually going to be dangerous? Like, what's the point of saying that by any means necessary if we're not going to actually be dangerous and do anything about things that's happening, such as girls getting killed in a church, things like that, like little girls praying in a church and they get bombed by some white people. When are we gonna like actually retaliate about this? And the nation is like, no, Malcolm, we can't do anything right now. Of course you can't, because you're controlled by white people. You know, all westernized religion is controlled by white people. So two powerful black men divided by enemies, not ideology. But at that time, I mean, Muhammad Ali, he was, like I said, he was really a kid. And at the end of the day, he was very enlightened and very intelligent. And I love Muhammad Ali, but he was still young. Like I said, there were kids at this time. So, you know, it's hard to stand up and do what Malcolm X was doing. What Malcolm X was doing was like the hard thing. Like he was even challenging the nation and like what they're doing for the community. And that's where the real problems arise. So whoever has, you know, just like the modern day church, they're in bed with the state. So the black church can't do anything for black people because they're in bed with black people's enemy. That's why there's so many politicians that come to church around election time, because they're trying to get that vote. And it's a nonprofit organization. They don't pay taxes. They're applicable for grants. They're applicable for all types of government funding because they're in bed with the government. That's why they could never do anything for black people. The black church generates $2 billion a year. We should have banks, hospitals, scholarship programs for children, schools. And I'm not saying that there isn't any banks and any schools within the church, because there is. There's schools, there's daycares, there's banks and things, but it's not systematic to help people. You know for sure you can't go there to a system to the church and get help, get a scholarship, get a job, unless you're of that faith. It's not black first, it's faith first. So if you wanted to work at the church or the mosque and actually get a paying job, you'd have to have faith and believe that, like, let's say within Christianity, like the Lord is your savior, and you'd have to repent and believe that. If you don't believe that, you can't get a job, you can't get any help. So your blackness doesn't come first, your faith comes first. And that faith goes back into the indoctrination from a book that was written by white people. And that leads us into our last segment. Big Bank, he spoke on big facts, saying he believes some of the Bible, but not everything. And right there, it touches a nerve, because now we're talking about belief, religion, and its role in the community.
So when I was saying Yahweh, right? Yeshua is the translation of Jesus. Okay. Yeshua, Y-E-S-H-U-A.
Okay, Yeshua.
That's now. I was saying
so
Yahweh.
Yeah,
that's because
they saying Jesus.
Yeah, they saying Jesus.
Children book, bro.
Yeah.
Children book.
So you don't believe nothing in the Bible?
Yes, I feel some of the things in the Bible. There's some things that I have questions about.
But do you believe anything in the Bible?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe a lot of stuff in the Bible.
Okay.
Overly.
Okay. So the things that you have specific questions about, brother, those questions can be answered. But so you think the Bible got some cap and some truth?
Yes. With anything in the world. I think this war got some cap and some truth to it.
Brother.
I think so you think that's the Bible of truth?
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
All right.
Bank, it's a, brother.
Okay, so
God can't lie.
Well, so they
and
had
if that's the word of God as spoken
through
people.
In the Bible too, right?
Make
a good slave and all that. You remember that was in the Bible too.
In the Old Testament of the Bible, right?
Okay.
And you know they have. By the way, you know black people had slaves too. So if something is black owned, is that okay if it's slavery?
All right, it don't matter, black on or not. We're going to stick to slavery, right? Slavery was in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
In your mind, in your heart, do you feel like someone should have a slave? That's yes or no?
No.
So you don't think that that's part is kept in the Bible?
That don't mean it's kept. That means it was the case.
I'm saying, okay, by it being the case, do you think that should be something that they're pushing in the Bible?
Brother, they got murder in the Bible. That don't mean that murder is right. There you go. They got stealing in the Bible. They got adultery in the Bible.
I'm saying, but they basically, well, from my understanding, it was like slavery
Nah,
wasn't bad.
This man said black people had slaves too. Bro, I hate this ideology. It's similar to what like happened with what's her name? Mrs. Robinson that was killed by her white fiance. They're like, well, black men kill women too. It's like that's your argument? Like you come up with a couple of stories, and first and foremost, that's not even the case. Like there are stereotypes for a reason. Black men, we rob, we kill each other. We do rob, we do kill each other. We do crime, like certain crimes that we do. We may abuse women in certain ways, but like that's not what black men really do. Like they don't necessarily kill their wives. That's just not something that black men do. We don't like shoot up schools. Like that's just not something black men do. We don't really like rape and do like pedophilia. That's not just something that black men do. That's something that white men do. These stereotypes are here for a reason. So with this guy, he's super indoctrinated. He doesn't understand that not just did, like what Bank is saying that, there's slavery in the Bible and they're trying to justify the Bible. Christianity in America has historically been tied to both control and liberation movements. It's obviously a book used to control and put people under hypnosis. Religion has played a major role in shaping social structure and behavior, such as get slapped and turn the other cheek. Wow, how convenient. How convenient for you guys to put that in the book and give it to black people and tell them to get slapped and turn the other cheek. It's harder for a man to enter the gates of heaven than it is for a camel to enter a needle or some bullshit. I forgot even what it was, but it's some bullshit verse that tells you to be poor. You can't make it into heaven if you got money. You need to be poor. I mean, we can go on for days. That whole book is literally created to hold black people back. That's it. There's nothing else to talk about. Like, I mean, in the way that you interpret it, in the way that this man said the Old Testament. He's like, that's in the Old Testament. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So again, even if it was like valid things in the Bible that really did happen, Jesus wasn't a Christian. I like Jesus. I like Christ consciousness. Jesus was real. Jesus wasn't about none of that Christianity bullshit, So that's what we need to be following. We need to be more like Jesus, help people, heal people, things like that. Not give all your money to the church so they can build a new building and the pastor can have sex with all the women in the church. Like that's some other stuff. I don't know what that is. So religion has done more harm for the black community than it has good, which is actually real crazy because that's what they like. That's what black people like. Black people like to stay stagnant because if you go into leadership, you got to, again, fight for yourself, defend yourself. You have to do your own, growing your own crops, creating your own weapons, having your own monopoly on force. You have to do the work. And that's what black people don't want to do. They want to put it on somebody else. That's why they're waiting for Jesus to come back. They're like, Jesus is going to come back and he's going to do the work. And we don't have to do anything. We can just wait for Jesus, which is easy. But there's no liberation in that, and there's nothing spiritual in that. It's not fun. It's not fun to not have a hard time. Having a hard time, which would be liberating yourself, is actually really fun. So at the end of the day, it's not about rejecting faith. It's about understanding what the faith is doing to your life and your people. So tonight, we covered a lot of stuff. Truth, history, control, belief. The common thread is simple. If you don't question what you're being told, you'll live inside someone else's version of reality. It's Heru Adamu. I'm going to see y'all on the next one.